Hi there. Welcome to another edition of Thursday Thoughts. This is Gina Zitlow at Gina Zitlow Healing on Facebook and Instagram. And we also have Heather here, Heather Hargrave at The Pretend Cajun, also on Instagram and Facebook. So today's edition, oh my gosh, that was a fly. I'm sorry. Today's edition is all about spiritual warfare. We figured for the month of November, we had discussed spiritual warfare, and then kind of other topics that have to do with that. We're going to delve into that a little bit more, right?
Yes.
Do you want to say hi? I kind of introduced you instead of you doing it.
Hi, guys. It's great to be back. I'm having fun talking about all these things, so it's pretty neat. And I've
Yeah,
been talking about some of it on my podcast too because it's gotten me
yeah.
wanting to talk about it now. So,
No, it's fun. And so, always some of our goal is to be 100% live every week. We just had life comes up, and over the holidays too, stuff coming up. I'm not quite sure how many we're going to get that are going to be live. We're going to try our best. So, again, today is going to be a recorded one, but we'll post it at 5:30 and always post questions. We do go back and check, and we really want to be able to answer your questions so that you feel clearer about what we're talking about, and so that you feel better getting your questions answered and connecting with us.
yes.
Okay, so here we go. Spiritual warfare. No one talks about it. And it's a real thing. I'm a medium, Heather's a medium. We've seen it. We'll go into detail in that a little bit. And I guess we could start with what spiritual warfare actually is.
Yes. I think that's a
So
good place to start.
I would say spiritual warfare really is in the spiritual realm, but what happens is it crosses over to the physical realm. And so perfect examples of that would be spiritual warfare, good versus evil, angels versus demons, and all that goes with that. So when you hear stories of angels fighting demons and angels taking down demons, that stuff happens in the spiritual realm that people cannot see. So the people that have been open to their gifts and can feel and tap into the spiritual world, they see this. And it's not talked about enough because it's still touted as us being crazy. And I don't know about you, but I feel pretty normal and I function in the real world. So I'm not crazy. How about you?
No, of course I'm not crazy. It is funny though that people, when you say things, when you say things out loud, and they just you get this look, and I can't decide if it's because they don't believe you or they do believe you and they don't want to admit it.
Or it
I can't
frightens them.
decide.
So to even admit it means now it's real and you have to really look at it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we've got good versus evil in the spiritual realm, angels versus demons, and then how it plays into the physical world of where people might actually see and understand what's going on is probably the health industry, um, politics, mainstream media. And again, this is like a touchy subject because a lot of people don't want to touch us with a 10-foot pole. And it's called, what's it called? Cognitive dissonance. When you actually
Uh,
see truth that you don't want to believe, but you can't deny it. But then if you don't, if you don't admit to it, then it doesn't really exist and you can tolerate it in your world and not have to deal with it. So um, we have a lot of that going on when people hear about things, especially spiritual warfare is a very triggering topic, I would say. So when I talk about politics, um, people making so how it shows up in the physical realm, and then Heather, you can share with us. My opinion is that people that are acting evil or they make bad decisions that are not for the good of all people, but more for the good of them. Anytime you've got greed involved, money, things like this in the political world, as well as the health industry with pharmaceutical companies and politics, health, what was the other thing I was going to talk about? And just money in general, all of that. Anytime it feels seedy, if it feels ugly, if it feels low vibration, that is some sort of energy, negative energy that's played out in the physical realm from what's going on in the spiritual realm. Did I massacre that, or does that make sense?
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about that?
Um, it I agree with what you said, and I guess part of it is it's hard to explain sometimes to people what it really means and what's really going on. And um, I think I had said to you before, earlier when we were talking, that you encounter people that you've categorized them as evil because that's all you can do. You've encountered them and you think, how can somebody really be that way, and how can they do the things that they're doing? But just like that day that I had that fallen, that evidently decided it liked me and wanted to come home with me. It I have to wonder how many people are truly inherently evil and how many of them are being influenced by something evil. Um, and it feels like there's a lot of that in the world today because there's decisions being made that don't make sense, and things being said that don't make sense. And then there are also people that are just accepting and okay, then
Right.
that must be the way it is. And I just have to wonder what else is at play there, um, to sort of cover people's eyes about what's true, you
And
know?
that's a beautiful comment, because the part about being blinded or going along with what everyone else uh is thinking or how they're behaving is very, very much a part of spiritual warfare. Those are um entities or spirits that are blocking your intuition or blocking the clarity of thought that you have about what's right and wrong. So that's how excuse me, that's how spiritual warfare actually crosses over. That's a perfect example. um LGBTQ community. There's nothing wrong with that, but the extreme of what we've seen happen with that, as far as the shows and all the what's it called? The all the transgenderism stuff where they've now involved kids and all of that. That's very evil. That's very satanic. So in the physical realm, how did that get like that? Well, evil, greed, shame, all that stuff comes from low vibration, which is spirits and entities. So that's how it crosses over to the physical world, for sure.
Yeah, especially the extremes, I think, where they're so it seems like so often these days, almost with any conversation, if there's a disagreement or if there's I don't necessarily agree with you, but okay, we don't agree, but there seems to be a lot of extreme people that if you don't agree, then they're angry and they wanna try to convert you, I guess, into agreeing with them. But, I also feel like in a lot of ways that extremism, it really is on different ends of the spectrum. I think the majority of the people in the world, I would think the largest percentage kind of falls in the middle and, is just living their lives, and they don't necessarily disagree with all these things. It may not be their lifestyle, but hey, yeah, sure, do your thing. So but that's where a lot of that extremism comes in and starts to influence and make it seem like that's all there is, when actually it's probably just about 5% of everything, you know. So
Well, so I'm curious about what the viewers think, as far as, what if you are in the middle? You're not being, you're not touting all the stuff that's evil and trying to get people to change their mind that way, but you're also not doing anything about all the evilness or all the satanic stuff that's going on, child trafficking, all that. You're not standing up against that either. So in the middle, a lot of people would say what? That they're fine, it's not good or evil, they're living their lives and everything's fine. But is that also a part of spiritual warfare, because you're now clouded and you're now guided to not do something or to do something? So you've got that in the middle too, so that all plays out. interestingly enough.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's a fear factor there, of course, because
Oh, absolutely.
you see the effects of people being angry or deciding that, they make a decision about you, and then, that can affect your business, your career, everything. So, I think there's a lot of fear in the world right now just for so many things, and, that is one of the hardest things I think there is to fight right now, because you have to get past that fear to even get to the next step of what you need to do,
Well, and
you
they talk
know?
about it in church. If anything's, they talk about it in church, but you hear it in, personal growth realms and all these other empowerment groups as well, that if you're not coming from love or positive energy, then it's fear and it's negative energy. So if we really look at that, I agree, for me, absolutely. If you're operating in fear or you're operating in shame, the or guilt or any of those lower vibration things, it's spiritual warfare has actually rolled over into your life, into the physical world. That would be my opinion. I don't think we were ever set up or meant to live a fearful life, or to feel like that we're not protected, we're not taken care of, we're not supported, we're not loved. So in my opinion, spiritual warfare goes that far into our lives.
Yeah, I think that's very valid. That and sometimes it's just a fear, just like with me. I've had a long time where, I have trouble talking about some of the things I do out loud, because I know that I have people in my life that are gonna think I'm crazy, or, they're gonna disagree and think, we're we're good. We don't need to hang out anymore. And that's their choice to make, and that's fine if that's what happens. That's unfortunate, but that's a fear of just speaking out about what we do, and even offering it to people. Hey, I may could help you with this, or there's so many people I meet that I just want to. Hey, you want to talk about theta? Can I explain what that is to you? To try to help them. And so, but sometimes there's that fear even of that, just communicating what we do, um, and the reaction or the judgment that you may get from really anyone that you encounter. So oh my gosh, there's so many layers of it. It seems like that you have to work through.
Well, and
So
then let's talk about another layer that I didn't discuss outside politics or the health industry, would be religion in and of itself. So I was born a Lutheran, converted to Catholicism for my first boyfriend that I was engaged to when I was my early 20s, and that didn't really resonate with me. So then I was a born again Christian for a while, and so now I'm just a Christian. Like, I embrace it all. But in high school, I went to a Lutheran high school. We studied religion in every single aspect: Buddhism, Taoism, all of it, Catholicism. So they do have one thing in common, and that's love and peacefulness and contentment and really being good to your neighbor. So all that stuff is kind of fluid between all of the religions. But what's interesting is the fear that has seeped into religion over the centuries or years, and I find that fascinating. And because I have Christian friends who do not want any part of what I do. I have one lady that would be absolutely 100% healed if I could have a conversation with her and her husband that's passed, so that she could heal and move on. But she's a devout Christian. None of that is allowed or not good. So the question I bring up to you and to our followers is that a form of evilness, one way or the other? Of making you fearful of gifts, making you fearful of connecting straight with God, talking to your angels, all of that? Or is it spiritual warfare and evilness seeping through, making you have that adamant of a view? Or did I say the same thing?
no, I no, I think they are somewhat different. And gosh, I talk about this with people all the time. If conversations lead to it, it's surprising how many people I've talked to about this, and it's surprising how many people in my life, in my immediate circle, or somewhat immediate circle, have brought up how their faith is fine, their faith in God is fine. There's nothing wrong there, but they're struggling with religion.
Mhm.
And then, of course, when you start getting into all of the things that would just be multiple episodes of us talking, that when you look at some of the past leaders and the choices that they made to put the Bible together and the choices that they made to lead the people, and how many of the religious leaders along the way were absolutely corrupt and were really the ones running the country, and or that particular land, and just all the look at the crusades, look at all the war that's happened in the name of religion or in the name of God in their opinion. But in my opinion, no, that was a man's fight.
Right.
So it's so embedded, I think, and it goes so far back. And I'm a Christian as well. I was raised a Methodist, and I I struggle a lot with. I'm starting to struggle a lot with the Bible because I've heard a lot of things about the Bible, that what's really true, what was really in there, how much has been left out. What was it left out? What was the choice? You know, um,
Right.
and that were left out, that if you believe those are actually talk a lot about these gifts, and that they were very normal, and that they were things a lot of people had. So and again, I believe those choices were made because of whatever political thing was happening at the time. You can go back to what Constantine, King James, all the people that they made choices as to what went in the Bible. It's not that I don't believe the Bible. I don't want people to think
Oh,
that
wait, your audio's
I do.
gone.
I
Your
believe
au-
that the
your
story. Oh,
your audio.
oh,
It's okay. Click on stop video and then start
am I
video
back?
again. It might come back. There you
Let's
are.
see.
Yeah,
Am I there?
perfect. Yep.
Um, so I do believe in the Bible. I believe in the stories of the Bible. I believe, it's not that. I just wonder if there's more to it, and if um there are times that we're taking some things very literally that maybe should be more about our relationship with God versus the book. I don't know. I'm very torn about that, but I do believe that there's warfare involved there because it's happened for so long, though, for
Right.
what, centuries, I guess this has gone on. So you start actually through out of all this. It's been through so many hands.
Right.
You,
Mhm. Well,
you
you've got
know what
ego.
part is that reading,
Right. You've
you
got
know?
ego involved. You've got control involved. And both of those things, if you have an evil spirit or someone evil attached to you, and then you're greedy and you're trying to control people, of course you're gonna take things out of religion or take things out of context so that you can lead people down a path, so to speak. So I do believe, like you said, it's very rampant through the Bible and other religions, like other, whatever their books are that they read in other religions as well. It's like in my world, if there's a God, why would there not be angels, and why would there not be, guides? And to talk to a Christian that is a devout Christian that believes in God and prays to God every day, it blows my mind that they get upset when I talk about angels. Like, angels do not exist. Angels are not real, even though I've experienced angels. So where did that belief come in? Are you stuck? I'm gonna shut.
Out.
Oh,
So
there
I'm
you
not
are.
able to really.
There you go.
Um,
There you go. You're there. I found you.
um, okay. And I'm sorry about that, y'all. My internet is not always stable in the evenings,
And you look
yeah, it's
you look blurry. Oh, there, now you're clear again. Okay, we're good.
yeah, I think my internet has lost its mind. But yeah, it is a very difficult, it's just a very difficult path, I think, for a lot of people of how to navigate all of this and
Mhm.
how to determine what they really believe and what they want to connect to. And again, there's that fear that maybe what if they're wrong? What if they believe that? If they follow us and they believe all these things, and then but that's not what the Bible says, and so that's not what the church told me. So what do I do? And so I think a lot of people just really struggle with just how to navigate all of this, which is I think why a lot of people are starting to not have again not have a problem with their faith, but they've got a big problem with religion.
Yeah, and all the things, all the
Yeah.
gifts, the angels. That's yeah, it's it's interesting. I don't even
Yeah.
and you guys, this is why this topic is so important, and we're probably going to have a follow-up because it gets deep when you just take a second and really think about it, because that spiritual warfare in and of itself, that you've got good and evil spirits, angels and spirits in your mind around your being, giving you all these things about what you're thinking, what's true, what's not true. So we've got spiritual warfare just in the discussion of what's in the Bible and if it's true or not.
Yeah.
And that's how it plays out in the physical realm. So that's why we felt it was so important to talk about this, just so that you could see the perspective of the fact that spiritual warfare is real in our physical realm, for sure, everywhere.
Yeah. And I think you have I was talking about this on my podcast the other day, talking about then you bring in the aspect of a spiritual awakening and people that have, we talked about you can't see, the things that you need to see. So when that lifts and you can start to maybe think more critically and really look at all the angles, and a lot of times that's when you start to go, this doesn't add up. And many times after that will come, what we believe is the spiritual awakening. I have friends that are Christian as well, though, that they do not believe that this is a spiritual awakening. They believe that we're going down a wrong path. To them, a spiritual awakening is someone that awakens to God, which is exactly what we've done, just in a bigger way. So,
Right.
I mean, are
Because
they
everything
wrong?
we do, we're connected to God. Everything,
Right,
yeah. And you're right, but it's not viewed that way.
right. And I mean, they're not wrong. Please
Right.
don't get me wrong. When you awaken to God, of course but it's almost to me, my question that I posed in that episode was, is there another step? So now you've awakened to God and now you go a step further. To me, there is, but I think there's an entire group of people that will never take that next step because they've embedded themselves in their religion and they're very devout about it, which is, hey, you know what? Good for them. Good on them um for following God and following the word and being the devout people that they are. I mean, I would never bash that. That is absolutely a good thing.
Right.
Um,
Absolutely.
I just feel like there's more. There's just so much more.
Well, I mean, I agree with that wholeheartedly, because as a Christian, that was my problem with being connected to God and being a Christian versus religion, because I felt like religion always put God in a box. So if God's in a box, then there are no angels, there are no demons, there is no spiritual warfare. God's in this box. You follow the rules of the Bible, and that's all there is. But what if that's not? That's the conversation that we're having. What if God is not in a box? What if God is huge and massive, and there's hierarchy and levels of angels and guides and helpers that are here to support us because we're so loved, and none of us have been taught that, because someone got evil and got greedy and started going down this evil path and decided that they were going to take all that out of the Bible. That is a possibility. Now, I'm open to critical thinking, thinking for yourself, doing your own research, and following your intuition, going inside versus outside. I would much rather guide my clients and my, you know, people that follow what we're talking about down a path of doing your own research, finding what resonates with you, taking a moment and really saying, okay, does this feel true for me or does this feel wrong? And follow that, because that is a gift that we have been given. It's probably our biggest gift that we've been given that we've never been taught about, because somewhere along the line, someone decided that we didn't need to know about the gift that God gave us as a spiritual being in a body of intuition. If nothing changed and everyone started just listening to their intuition instead of everything else, it would be a much different place. And, you know, you have to learn how to use your intuition and listen to it, right?
Right.
Learning how to do that.
And do you believe that, so when you're listening to your intuition and you're listening to the little voice and all the things, I believe that that is our connection to God, and that's God telling us the things that He wants us to know or wants us to do. And just like everything else in life, we all do different things for our jobs and we all have different um, skill sets. So, I think often when it comes to our spiritual gifts, we're all going to have different gifts because we all have a different role to play, in the wheel, in the cog,
right.
and whatever you want to call it. But I believe that at the end of the day, as we all do that thinking and we all um, go through that enlightenment moment where it all starts to open up and starts to make sense, I think at the end of the day, we mostly end up with the same thoughts. And this, we all end up with the same path, just a different way,
Right.
because it becomes about love and light and helping each other and healing each other. And we just all do it in different ways.
Right.
That's the thing I'm noticing, is that as much as everybody thinks it's all different and it's not, we're all just kind of ending up in the same place. We're just going about it a different way.
Bring about it a different way. And I do believe we'll all get there eventually, but wouldn't it be easier and nicer if we could we could know we had support and had all these other things, and we could just be aware of what's out there and how all that is playing in our journey in this lifetime, how it's all playing out for us,
Yeah.
you
And the
know?
reason it's so difficult is because of the spiritual warfare that we're up against.
Right. Absolutely. Like, and there is a thing to this, like born again Christians are freaked out when you talk about spiritual warfare. When I was like, my neighbor would go on and on about how they were attacked by demons and spirits and things were moving, and they got attacked, and because the closer they got to God, the more they got attacked. That was a big one. And looking now at everything I know from all the research I've done and you know, the work I've done being connected, it's so backwards. We're taught, even if you watch a scary movie, like Catholic movies, if you believe in God and you carry a cross and you fight for God in your thing, you're going to be attacked by a demon. Right? So what does that do? That creates fear so people don't get closer to God. So for the longest time, I would not do extra prayers. I would not do all the things because I was afraid that would happen to me. But what happens is, on the other side of that, there is spiritual warfare, but God has given us sovereignty and we have power and intention. And the greatest tool we have is love. And that's our biggest tool in the fight for and of spiritual warfare is love. So when we're looking at, like, so if you guys want to take this on as a challenge, watch TV tonight, watch the news tonight, and ask yourself, does it feel light? Does it feel good? If it doesn't, maybe turn it off, maybe not listen to it, maybe switch to a different channel. So you get the opportunity of starting to play with everything in your world. And if it feels good, or if it feels more dark, or if it feels more evil, that's one of the most general, simplest ways that you can start following your intuition around spiritual warfare. TV is just an example. You can do it with everything. Religion, health, right?
Yeah. When you start paying attention to how you feel when certain things happen, when you're talking to certain people, when you're hearing certain stories, watching certain shows, and when you just kind of start paying attention to how you feel as that's happening, it'll become, you'll be surprised how quickly you catch on to, oh, I feel good when this happens. I feel bad when this happens.
Yeah, and that's energy. So
Yeah.
energy is a byproduct of spiritual warfare, of waywards, of fallen, of even angels. So, you know, if you've been around an angel or there's an angel in your presence, I guarantee you feel good. There's no way you can't. It's just how it is. And you know, this kind of leads us into, we were talking before we got on here about certain ways that we can actually counteract some of the spiritual warfare things that we're seeing. So good versus evil, light versus dark. So when we say light, if you think about something, does it make you feel lighter or does it make you feel heavier? Does it make you feel dark? So that's the dualism that we can play with in the third dimension to kind of figure that out. Same with, is it a solid yes? If it's not a solid yes and it's like zinging in your body as a yes, then it's a no. So you can follow that with everything from religion to TV, friends, like topics around health, whatever it is. But also you have to keep stuff high vibe. So the good and the light is higher vibration. So eating higher vibration food will keep your vibration high. And the reason we talk about higher vibration is because it helps you stay cleaner, so to speak, and help you become more aware of the heavy and the not so good. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. It just helps you. I mean, think about it when you're feeling happy and you're feeling joyful and you're feeling at peace, it's much harder for something to bring you down.
Yep.
But if you're already in that space, it's really easy for just the next thing, the next wave to keep knocking you over. So yeah, the higher you are to start,
Yeah.
the harder it is to bring you down.
It's
So
like a little kind of energetic shield without actually shielding that you can do that keeps your vibration high. And this goes for people too, y'all. It's, you know, if you don't feel good around someone, then you might want to look at that because that's not high vibration. That's not where you want to be to keep your spirit more safe, I guess is the easy way to say it, and to not bring your energy down. Spiritual warfare is true and it's very real, which means when your vibration's low, that's usually when a wayward could come and say hi and hang out for a while. And attachment, some of the other stuff like that could happen. So, and energy gathers around energy. So if you're hanging around with low vibration people that are, you know, shameful and angry and fearful all the time, then that energy is going to seep into you, and which leaves you more open and more vulnerable. So the key to spiritual warfare in this realm is really high vibration food, high vibration music, high vibration people. And then what else am I missing? What else?
um well yeah, the music, what you watch, even what you read. If you're one of those people, I am. I'll go read all the headlines on MSN.com, which usually just makes me depressed. Even social media, which we're on, but you know, social media can.
Right.
I mean, look how toxic it can get at times. You know, seeing the nasty comments that people make and things. It can really just any of those negative things can bring your vibration down. So if you're finding yourself, you know, maybe you just need to put the phone down and take a step back from social media at times.
Right.
Give yourself a break. Close the browser. Do something else. You know, go watch an uplifting show or listen to some good music that'll get you in a good place.
Well, there's a scale of emotions, and love is at the highest vibration, and it goes down from there. I think um neutrality is right in the middle between good and evil, and it's just a feeling of neutral, I guess is the easiest way to explain it. I have it in my thing. Hold on. Did I save it? I just saw it the other day. I'll have to look it and I'll post it on Instagram and Facebook about vibrations of feelings, emotional vibrations. So anything, so when we say high vibe, that's really what makes you feel good. Joyous, contentment, peaceful, love, happy. Those are all high vibration. It keeps the evil at bay. I that's the easiest way to say it. I don't know how else to explain it. So when you're fighting spiritual warfare in our physical world and even in the spiritual realm, the higher you can keep your vibration, the more positive you can be, the more you're going to avoid a lot of things, and it's probably going to be easier.
Yeah. And if you find yourself feeling like you've really, really low, or maybe, something's going on with you that doesn't make sense, you can always reach out to one of us, and or whoever in your life that works with help you. But I also find that sometimes I just have to
We're
stop
missing.
mind.
Okay, wait, let's back up.
So I'll meditate or journal, things like that, where I can get quiet.
I was just going to say
So
praying is great. Meditation, getting out in nature, barefoot in the grass, barefoot on the ground. Even if you've got your shoes on, just go outside and really be able to just connect with nature. Nature's very high vibe. So that's really a safe place to be for that. Yeah. And what else was I going to say about that? Are you with us or are you stuck?
out
Oh,
again.
okay. You stuck
I'm
again.
cutting in and out again. My
Did you have anything you
my
wanted?
internet provider is so lovely.
We love your internet
No,
provider.
not really. That was it. Um, but yeah, work in your garden, plant some flowers. Any of the earth. That's always a good thing.
Yeah. So that's our way to fight spiritual warfare. One of the easiest things that we can do is to keep our vibration high and stay away from things that lower our vibration. Evil, demons, waywards cannot get in and penetrate all that energy around us if we're staying strong and staying connected and staying grounded in our body. Yeah. Is that a good place to?
Yeah.
And if you guys have questions about any of this, like things you can do or comments, we would love opinions and comments. It does not matter. We would love to have an open topic about this so that people can start sharing and talking and learning more and opening up their capacity to accept new things. And maybe, from that, healing can take place and change can happen. And yeah.
Yeah.
One thing about spiritual warfare, this is really fun. I've heard, I have not experienced this because I have not connected with aliens. Do I believe in aliens? I absolutely do. I do not believe that we are the only planet, the only people in existence. That's just impossible. If God is as big as God is, there's no way we are the only ones here. There had to have been experiments and different things on different planets and different galaxies and all this fun stuff, right? So I have heard spiritual warfare is actually a version of a higher warfare between the planets and all the different galaxies and all the different people. It would be people, aliens, whatever you would, I don't know what you would even call them, but it's a hierarchy. So we're just experiencing, spiritual warfare on our earth, on our planet. But if you really think about it, it's an intergalactic war going on. And we're just experiencing what we're experiencing in the little piece of the whole puzzle. So if that's the case, it's really big and we should really try and figure out how to do our part.
Yes. And there are things that I've encountered that I absolutely believe that it's when I tell people, and I will say this to people frequently, that it's just bigger. Everything is just bigger than we think, and it is all connected in ways that we can't even put our minds around, because our little minds can't really handle that. I don't think we're meant to handle that. I think if we knew everything, there would be no reason to be here anymore. So, but yes, there's just so many things I've seen and encountered that lead me to believe that, yeah, it's just so much bigger. There's so much that I think maybe when we cross to the other side one day, we may get some of those answers. I'm looking forward to it. But
Well, and those are things I don't even ask, which I should ask. I should ask people on the other side. Like, I don't ask questions.
yeah,
I usually have conversations with them about their family, but I should start asking, like, I'm gonna ask my dad. My dad and my stepfather
That's
on the other side. And I work with them a lot, but I've never really asked. So I think I'm gonna ask. Maybe we'll do an episode on that.
that's a really good thought.
What
I've
the spirits' opinions are.
because I don't connect with my family very much. I connect with other people's family to help them. But
Yeah.
I recently did though, and it was actually a really neat conversation. So yeah, maybe I'll jump back in there and see what I find out too. Because but that's one of the things they kept telling me is like, it's just not what you think. It's just not what you think. Just and I was like,
Well, I
okay.
think, I mean, we'll end on this unless you have something else to say. I think the biggest thing about spiritual warfare is that part of the spiritual warfare was keeping us in a really small box and not knowing how big everything is so that we could be controlled. I know a
Exactly.
lot of people don't want to talk about this, but this is truly, in my opinion, and from what I've seen and experienced on the other side, this is really the reality from my perspective and probably from Heather's. So yeah, when she says think about everything and think of it just bigger, yeah, absolutely think of it just bigger. So if you're a Christian and you go to church and you pray and you think God is awesome, think about God 100 times bigger than that. And what would that look like? Would you have gifts? Would you be tuned in? Would you have angels around you? Would you have guides around you? Like that's the possibility that I think that's been hidden from us in this whole scheme of spiritual warfare to keep us small. And with that, we could go 1,000 different directions on videos and other things to share and talk about. But this is just the beginning. We wanted to get it out there so that people could start talking about it.
Yeah, it's a big deal. There's a lot to it.
Mhm. Do you have
There's
anything
a
else
lot.
to share?
Um, I'm gonna give an example. I mean, I work in marketing, done this for about 30 years. So think about for a minute how easily we can be manipulated by advertising and things like that. And that's just a really simple ad that just kind of led you to the place they wanted you to go so that you would go in this store and buy this thing. And that's a really small piece, okay? That's a very small thing, but it happens to you every day. You're being influenced by the media and by ads and all of these things. How many of you are scrolling TikTok and then your next thing you know, you're on somebody's TikTok shop buying something? You're being it and so think about that's why it's just an example, but think about if someone were up to no good and they wanted to manipulate you in a bad way
How could they?
and that it's much bigger than just a little advertising campaign. So it's just something to get people, start thinking more. Just start looking at things a little differently and you might start seeing some of it differently.
Right. And the biggest thing to that is that just be aware and know that spiritual warfare is right here in our backyard, and this is how it's happening. Media, TV, angels, demons, spirits, all of it, it's right here, right front and center, and we're dealing with it on a daily basis. If you can open your eyes to that, just the possibility that spiritual warfare even exists, you're way ahead of the game. And that will give you the opportunity to become more aware and then make choices from there. And my head just got all tingly, so my message was right on. Oh,
Yay.
um, okay, yeah, I guess, is that a good spot to end, I guess, for today?
I,
And
I think so.
this whole month, I was trying to find my list. What else did we talk about that we were going to talk about for spiritual warfare this month? Because it's not just spiritual warfare. We're going to talk about sorry.
I lost my list as well. So,
I know there was a couple things I was gonna share.
but there's just so much more we can talk about that.
Yeah,
Oh
we
my
had talked
goodness.
about things that we were gonna share for the month of November. So it's along the lines of spiritual warfare. So probably intuition, gifts. I think we're gonna talk about tools this month. Anything that has to do with spiritual warfare
Yeah.
and how we can help you. So probably next time we'll probably talk about tools. That would be a good one.
Yeah.
Really good energetic tools and different things you can delve into to help with spiritual warfare if you want to take this whole thing on.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Mwah. We love you. Thank you so much for listening. And please comment. we would love to interact and engage with you. And once we get some solid questions, we'll answer on the page, but we would love to put questions together so that we could actually do maybe a live question and answer.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
More lives are coming. Just bear with us. We've had life and everything else happen. So we love you.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. And I wish you well, and I'm sending you tons of love.
Yes, yes. See y'all next time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Bye.